All right, I'm going to be reading this question. It's a pretty long question, so please, I want you to bear with me as I read through this question. But I think it's important I read every single bit of this message. And I will be keeping the person that sent the message anonymous because this person sent me the message privately and wanted me to answer it privately. But I asked that the person allow me answer this question on the podcast because I get too many questions like this and I don't want to be answering them individually anymore. As a matter of fact, people that come to me with this question, again, I might have to refer you to this podcast. So I want to kill two birds with one stone. And this time, I think I might be killing even more than two birds. I think I might be killing as many as 200, if not 2,000 birds with this one stone. So I'm going to read this question. It says, I am a chemistry student at Obafemi Awolowo University. I'm reaching out to seek your guidance on something important. Chemistry wasn't my choice of course. I got into it because I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do at the time. Initially, I wasn't struggling much, so I tried to keep going and make the best of it. But over time, I found it increasingly difficult to understand the classes, even after attending tutorials. I wasn't learning anything meaningful and I gradually lost interest. I spoke to my parents about switching to another department, specifically sociology, which I feel I can relate to more. Chemistry has become unrelatable and too theoretical for me. But my parents insist I should keep pushing since I've already come this far. They also believe sociology doesn't offer much in terms of job prospects. I am passionate about pursuing a career in design after school. Despite my frustration, I kept going. But now, in part 3, second semester, things have worsened. I've failed several courses, some of which are prerequisites for others, meaning I'll likely spend an extra year. I still really want to switch departments, and I'm reaching out to ask these two questions. Do you think it's advisable for me to make the switch at this point? If so, how can I effectively convince my parents to support the decision to switch? I truly appreciate your counsel on this. Thank you, sir. All right, I want to thank the person that sent this and for allowing me to answer this question on the podcast because I know for a fact there are hundreds of people that are in this situation that this young man finds himself. Hundreds. And they are increasing every single day. People who went to school, especially higher institutions, universities, polytechnics, they went into higher institution not knowing, not even understanding what they want to do with their lives. See, there are so many people, a lot of people, they've never taken time to pause and to stop and to think, where is my life going? What do I really want to do with my life? What have I heard in my spirit about what to do with my life? Why did God place me here? A lot of us were put on this treadmill that we call the rat race from when we were 3 months old. At 3 months, your mom's workplace told her her maternity leave was over and she had to come back to work. And for most of us, our moms sought out crutches to put us so that they could have the opportunity to go out and work. So we're committed to an institution called a crèche where we stayed from hours of like 8 o'clock to like 3 or 4 o'clock till our parents were done with work. Once that journey started, it never ended. We went from crèche to primary school or nursery school, from nursery school to primary school, from primary school to secondary school, from secondary school to university, from university, NYSC, from NYSC, you had, for the first time in your life, what seemed to be a pause. For the lucky ones, some of you just had employment, you got retained by where you were working NYSC and just continue to go like that. Some of you will not have a pause till you retire. And that's the first time you breathe the air of this world at your own timing, the way you want to. That's the first time you begin to see the world not from a hurried perspective, but from one of calm and pause. Some of you have never paused in your life before. So we have so many people in university that never had a pause, a break between secondary school and university. They just had to go in. A lot of people go into university because they cannot afford to sit down at home. You cannot afford to sit down at home. So you're like, whatever course they give me, I'm going into to study that course. Because a lot of us see a pause as retrogression, not as progress. And nothing could be further from the truth. We need pauses in life so that we can have clarity. Motion is not progress. A lot of us confuse motion for progress, so we keep moving, not knowing where we are going. And this is what this guy feels. He got into university to study chemistry, not because he loved chemistry, not because he knew what he wanted to do with chemistry, but because he couldn't afford to sit down at home. That might not have been his own decision. It might have been his parents' decision. A lot of parents hurry their children too. You can't afford to sit down at home. Your mates are in school. Go to school. What they give you? Geography. Go. Geography is good enough. And I have nothing against geography. Geography is an amazing subject matter. But some people are studying geography not because they know how amazing it is, but because they feel it's so terrible to sit down at home and have a pause in your life. A pause is so important. I cannot tell you how important a pause is. I am a product of a pause. People that know me as a designer, I don't know how many of them know that I got into design, graphic design, because there was a pause in my life when I couldn't control. My name, for some reason, was skipped from NYSC list. So I had to stay at home for a year. Then NYSC was just once a year. My name was skipped for some reason. For some reason. Me and another friend of mine, and I'll come to that, my friend, shortly. Our names were skipped. So we were at home for months, not knowing what to do with our lives. At least I didn't know. He knew. And I'm glad he knew. But I didn't know. But that pause started out as frustrating at first. So I felt very cheated by life. I felt, why? Why did this happen to me? Out of a class of hundreds of people, why my name? Why? What did I do? So I was angry with God. I need to continue moving. Here I was, staying at home. And then it led into boredom. Slept a lot of hours. Wake up, sleep. Wake up from that sleep, eat, go back to sleep. At the point, I couldn't even sleep well at night anymore because I slept too much during the day. And then boredom led me to revelation. Because then I picked up my phone and I called this my friend. And I asked him what he was doing. And he told me graphic design. And I had seen him doing graphic design in school. And I'm like, whoa, that's true. That reminds me. I saw you doing it in school and I really wanted to do it. And then he told me what to get. He said, go and get Corel Draw. And that began my path to graphic design. I did that for a good 20 years. Still doing it today. I did it because I had a pause in my life. Pause. Why do you think I'm speaking right now? Answering people's questions, giving advice. Pause. A lot of us don't understand that COVID, for a lot of people, was a blessing. It was the first time they paused in their life, not hurried to go to work. People's activity, their schedule was turned upside down. A lot of people had that pause, and a lot of people that made use of that pause had clarity. I can't tell you how many wonderful ideas started because of COVID. Because of COVID, I started answering people's questions. It gave me a pause for my schedule as a business person. Because during COVID, a lot of my clients were not doing any design. Nobody was doing anything. So I wasn't busy. I was idle. And the same thing happened. I started out with a sense of dread and bitterness. God, why? Why is the world going through this? Why? Why? Why are you allowing us to go through this in the world? Then boredom, and then clarity, and then purpose. A pause is very important, and I'll start by saying that. Now, this person, when I read this message, it touched my heart. It touched my heart for so many reasons. Number one, because I've been a child like him before. When I say child, I don't mean infant. I mean somebody's child who was still largely influenced by his parents. So I understood his pain as a child with the burden of seeking approval from his parents. And I also felt the pain of the parents because I'm a parent. I'm a parent, so I understand what it's like to be fearful about what will happen to your child. To not know when to let go. To not know how to listen anymore because the fear has clogged your ears. I can understand both parts. So before I recorded this, I was torn about what to say. Should I say what the Spirit is leading me to say? It might shake some tables. Or should I be proper, which we achieve little? But then when I thought about it that way, I realized the answer was clear. I didn't start this podcast to be proper. I started this podcast to give clarity. And people don't understand that clarity, if you were a human being, is a very ugly human being. Ugly. Ugly. You don't want to hang around such person very often. You don't want to take a selfie with them. They are not the most beautiful people. Clarity. If clarity was a person, a man or a woman, not beautiful at all. It takes courage to approach them. So I'm going to try to give clarity right now. And a lot of what I'm going to say, some people will take out of context. Because when people do not want to accept the ugly truth, they take it out of context. That's their coping mechanism. But I really hope that the people that are meant to benefit from this would see the truth in what I'm saying, no matter how ugly it is. You are in the university in your third year, studying a course that you didn't want to study in the first place. You studied it out of a sense of just wanting progress by emotion. Now you got there and things have gotten harder as the years have gone by. And now you've gotten to this place where not only are things hard, but now it's beginning to infringe into your future, where you have an extra year because you do not understand anymore. And not only don't you understand what is being taught in class, even the extra class that is meant to take time to teach you is not making things any clearer. Gone for tutorial classes and nothing is getting clearer. And now you are failing courses. And you told your parents you want to switch departments to sociology. Not particularly because sociology is what you want to do with your life, but you feel for you it will be easier to sail through school because what you're trying to do right now is to get through school. I understand that. Totally understand that. Is to get through school. So you want to go for something that will give the least resistance to your sailing through and getting that certificate. So you thought, oh, okay, sociology might be a good fit for you. For some reason, you feel like you might be able to handle that knowledge better. And you told your parents, and your parents are telling you, stick with this chemistry because you've come so far. You're asking what my advice is. My God-led advice is that you better change that course. You better do what it takes to change to sociology. Because your future is already being booked. A lot of us don't understand one thing, that at the end of our lives, we shall give account of our time. The time you spent on earth, you will give account of it. Chemistry is already claiming that time of the future. It has taken one more year. You need to understand that for every time you fail, and for every time you do that subject matter, chemistry, that you do not understand, and you commit to a tutorial to try to understand, and you still don't understand, not only is your GPA being chipped at, also your esteem is being chipped at. You will not only leave school with a low grade, which is not really, it's not devastating, it's not unheard. The most devastating thing is you will leave school with a low self-esteem. A low grade can be remedied. A low self-esteem is very hard to remedy. If you have a low self-esteem, you can never be a good husband. You can never be a good father. You can never be a good boss. You can never be a good friend. You can never be a good child to your parents. A low self-esteem is a terrible thing. It keeps stealing from your life day by day and your potential. So my advice to you is to change that course. I know you've spoken to your parents, but you must know why it's important to talk to your parents first. You don't talk to your parents first on matters like this necessarily for approval. You talk to your parents about stuff like this to share your thoughts and to hear their thoughts and to wait and choose what direction you want to go. There must be a choosing. There must be a choosing. I'm sure you're in your 20s. I'm sure you're in your 20s. It's the third year Obafemi Awolowo University doing, I think, a 4-year course. I don't know how long chemistry is. Cannot be more than 5 years. I think it's 4. You must be in your 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, depending on how early you got into school. If you listen to my podcast, and I think a lot of people should listen to this podcast, the podcast I did on the dynamics of parenting, parent-child relationship is there. Just go to my podcast and just search for parenting. You would see it. On the cover of that podcast, a lot of my podcasts have the same cover. You see my face. On this one, I didn't use my face because I knew that I would refer a lot of people to it in the future. It has the face, an illustration of a child and an adult screaming at each other at different phases of life. Just check it. Just check for parenting. Once you just see that cover, that is the podcast. I think people need to listen to that podcast. In that podcast, I talk about 3 phases that guide the dynamics of a parent and a child. There's the early phase, where your parents are wiser than you. From 0 to about 18, 19. I'll put it that way. 18, 19. It's important that we're able to listen to our parents because they're wiser. And that's because your brain is not fully formed. Your brain is not fully formed yet. Your parents have fully formed brains. Their frontal cortex, fully formed. So they make better decisions. By the time you enter your 20s, I think the human brain fully forms at 21, 22. Your brain is like your parents' brain. Your brain is like your parents' brain. Both fully formed. You've reached the stage of mutual exchange of ideas, where you can ask their opinion and give your opinion and weigh whether you want to go with their opinion. It's not a time to be led by your parents. It's a time when you can ask for their feedback and choose. You can make choices at this stage. And then when you get into your 40s and you start going past your 40s, your brain starts losing capacity to store as much. The brain gets weaker. That's the truth for every normal human being. The brain will not be as strong as a 20-year-old's brain anymore. You see, by that time, your parents are already, their brain is already totally, the capacity is very, very, very low. By that time, you can lead your parents. Because you realize that your parents, sometimes the reasoning capacity might almost be that of a 12-year-old. Don't be surprised about the ridiculous things your parents might say sometimes at that point when you are getting into your 40s. You need to start leading and guiding them. You need to start leading them like they led you in the first phase of life. That's the way it should go. The problem is a lot of people are stuck in one gear, that first phase. So did you see a 40-year-old still being led by the hand by his parents? Parents are still making decisions for them. You are in your 20s. You've done the right thing to approach your parents and ask their opinion. But then you need to think, do you agree with that opinion? I don't think that's good advice. To stay in school and keep failing. To push through. I can understand where they are coming from because I'm a parent too. But a lot of what is guiding them is fear. It's fear. There's a lot of fear-based parenting going on. And I pray to God every single day to help me against fear-based parenting. Fear-based parenting. You must be careful. because fear-based parenting is one of the biggest hindrances to purpose. Purpose. Fear-based parenting can hinder purpose. You know, one of the biggest hindrances to purpose is doing things proper. One of the biggest hindrances to purpose, when people tell me about, I really want to do this thing, but then I'm not able to do it. There's a hindrance between me and doing this thing that I really feel would be purposeful activity, is the protocol of proper. How things should be done. A lot of times, purpose challenges protocol. Anybody who is going to achieve anything purposeful, one of your first obstacles is, can you disrupt protocol? Can you disrupt protocol? When you look at the Bible, those who did amazing things, a lot of them disrupted protocol. We know the story of David and Goliath. But I will have you know that David was never recruited in the army. He had no business being there. He disrupted protocol. What even made him see Goliath in the first place was the fact that they sent him to go and give his soldier brothers food. And his brothers were so irritated by his disregard for protocol. Stay in your lane is why a lot of people miss out on purpose. Do it the right way. Do it the fine way. If you do it this way, it's too ugly. It sounds very neat and tidy if your parents tell you, stay in school and stay in school. You sound like a good child, the model child, the one that makes his parents proud. Sounds very tidy, but you can achieve very little by doing that. I'll say something here, both to parents and to children. The children that try to make their parents proud achieve very little in terms of personal fulfillment. The parents that try, make it their life's ambition to make their parents proud, achieve very little in terms of internal fulfillment. They might achieve a lot outside, but way inside, they feel like they've never started living life yet. I also say this to parents, if you're a parent listening. Parents that try to make their children proud achieve very little in terms of internal fulfillment. We have some parents who their aim in life is to make their children proud. They're always thinking of how to make their children proud. I don't want the children to think I'm broke. I don't want the children to think I'm not successful. I don't want the children to think I'm a failure. They are so children-minded. How the children see them, they're the ones that achieve the least with their lives. Purpose breaks protocol. The story in the Bible about a set of twins, Jacob and Esau. A particular twin came first, named was Esau. He was the firstborn. So even with twins, you have firstborn. He was the firstborn. With Jewish culture, when the father is passing down blessings, it goes to the firstborn. He had a younger twin whose name was Jacob. He had no business in terms of protocol and how things should be done with the blessings that his father was going to hand down. It was already marked out by culture how things should go. But God knows that purpose breaks protocol. He had already told their mother, Rebecca, that the older would serve the younger. So Rebecca geared herself up to stir the waters. She knew if things were going to go right, protocol could not be followed. A lot of people look at it as a sinister thing she did. No, she understood that purpose breaks protocol. She knew if she left it to her husband, he will do the proper thing. And he would have anointed and blessed the wrong man. And there would have been no Bible today. There would have been no Jesus. There would have been no faith. Everything would have died with Esau. It was the proper thing to do, but it was going to destroy generations to come. So sometimes breaking protocol can be for the greater good. Why I'm telling you this is that if you follow your parents' advice and stay in that chemistry, you would come out of school, but more people would suffer than you. Your wife would suffer, your children will suffer, the people you work with will suffer, society would suffer. And even this, your parents would suffer by the kind of man you would come out as. You'll be an insecure man, not able to do any good for himself, his family, or society. So when I advise you about this, I'm not thinking about OAU. OAU is too small compared to the rest of the world. I don't really care about what goes on in OAU. I care about the man that would come out to the world and raise a family that my children would get to live with. I don't know how high your children will rise in life. But if they are raised by a father who has a low self-esteem just because he couldn't change a course, and they rise to positions of authority, they can derail a country. And that's why I'm telling you the truth rather than what is proper. Change that course. You don't need your parents' signature to change that course. The school is structured in such a way that everything is left to you if you want to change a course. Do you know why school is done like that? That cannot be done in secondary school or in primary school, that you will make a decision about your studies without having your parents' signature. Because the university, because the schooling system understands that at that age of primary school and secondary school, your brain is not fully formed. But in university, how many things do they tell you to go and do and tell you that you need your parents' signature? Absolutely nothing. You sign for yourself. What they are trying to tell you is you are now an adult. Your brain is fully formed. Take advice and weigh it and make your decision. You have that decision to make. In fact, decision can go a lot of ways. It depends on you. I'm just telling you what you have is not. You're not caged. You're only caged by proper and protocol. But once you decide that, once you understand that purpose doesn't honor protocol, you realize that your choices are many. You can choose to do that sociology. Since you're in your 300 level, I don't know what year sociology will put you in, and finish through OAU. And go ahead and do your design and focus on design. Or you even have the choice of dropping everything all together, since you know you want to do design, and go out into the real world and start building your design knowledge and design skill and design capacity. That's another option you have. It's not pretty. I told you, clarity is not pretty. It's not. It's not pretty, but it's the reality. You have that option. You have that option. But you're not restricted. You're only restricted by your fear of breaking the ranks. That would be my honest advice to you. You can change your course if you want to. You can end it all with OAU if you want to, and chase that design thing. You see, A lot of times, the problem is that we think we have time in our control. And this way, I said I'll go and talk about my friend. I've talking about my friend before, the one whose name was not on the NYSC with me. He was by far the best student in our class. By a long mile, the best student. Probably one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. Incredible. At any subject matter, by far. But here we are. Here we were. Our names not on NYSC list. So I called him one day and asked him, "What are you doing?" Because I'm not doing anything but sleeping, waking up, eating my parents' food, doing nothing, feeling useless. And he told me, I'm not doing that. To me, I'm just here. I'm working on a school yearbook, doing graphic design. And he sounded so happy. And I'm like, "What do you want to do with this graphic design?" He said, I don't know what I want to do with it. I just know it makes me happy. This is where when you were talking about your parents saying you don't know what line of work sociology can bring you, we have the wrong approach to knowledge. We have a very extractive approach to knowledge. So I have this knowledge so that I can get stuff from people. No. Number one, knowledge should excite you. Knowledge should ignite you. That's the first thing knowledge should do. It's light. So I spoke to this, my friend, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do this afternoon, but I just enjoy doing it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a school yearbook. And I looked at him, I said, this guy is the best student in our class. And I thought about it that says reduced to graphic design. This guy was the best architecture student we had in the department for years. But here he was so excited doing graphic design. I told him, when are you going to do architecture? He said, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to do it. I might not do it again, but for now I'm doing graphic design. I enjoy it. That's what I want to do. And finally, we got called to do our NYSC after staying at home for a long while. And this, my friend, on Christmas period, was coming back home in public transport and had an accident and died. He was 24 years old. He died. He died. 24. I'm 44. He died 20 years ago. I don't know how old you are, but this delusion that you have time in the future is laughable. You do not know how much time you have. The only time you actually have is the time you are living now. And you must ask yourself, if God tells you this is the end of it all, do you have anything to show? Have you lived life at all? Have you lived your life at all? That's why I got so sad when they said they've booked 1 year ahead again for your life that you've not started living. 1 year. My friend died at 24. Never had the opportunity to make money for his family. That was it. That was the end. 24. And every time when I think about him, the only encouragement I have is that he did what he wanted to do. I always remember that phone call we had, that last phone call. Say, I don't know what the future holds. I just know I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. And every time I think about that, I think about how my friend won at life. There are a lot of people much older than my friend, their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, in their 70s, still not winning at life because they want to be proper. So they shelve purpose. Purpose doesn't honor protocol. I would say that over and over again. If you cannot break protocol, you cannot live purposefully. You see, When my wife and I got married, I think the first year of our marriage, my wife had to go for her NYSC. And then they posted her here in Abuja because she was married and I was based in Abuja. So they give that consent to married women to stay in the place where their husband is residing. So she was in Abuja, but they posted her to a hospital, and my wife didn't want to work in a hospital. So she said, I can't work in a hospital. And I told my wife, they've posted you. You don't have any choice. She said, I cannot work in a hospital, be doing calls again. I cannot. I don't want that life for myself. And I told my wife, they have posted you. They have posted you. The higher authority have posted you. You have no choice. You have to go to that hospital for the next 1 year. But my wife said no. So one day she said I should come with her to the FCDA, the place where she was posted. So I should come with her to reject her post. I said, babe, nobody does this thing. You cannot insist that you want where you want. So I went with her, newly married. I didn't want to rock the boat, So I went with her, but grumbling. I'm like, what kind of embarrassment does this woman want to take me through? We're going to go to that office of the woman and reject this thing. I said, who does that? You can't go to this woman's office. She's a director or whatever, just high-level civil servant. I said, do you know her? She said she doesn't know her, but she's going to reject it today. So I went with her. I said, okay, I'm going to be embarrassed today. So we went through the gate, security and everything. I said, what do you want? What do you want? My wife, confident, just said, I want to see so and so. I said, do you have an appointment? She said, yes. I entered. No appointment. Broke protocol. We went to the woman's office. Secretary said, do you have an appointment? Yes, we are meant to be here to come and see her. You know when you want to do something purposefully, doors won't be closed at you. Someone with purpose, they are a force to reckon with. My wife on a good day is a very quiet woman, very quiet. But I've never seen this side to her before. And she just took us through doors, and before I knew it, we were inside this woman's office. This kind of woman that people will book appointments for, we were inside her office. So the woman called my wife to come in, and I had to stay out. And they spoke for a while. I didn't even know what she was talking with the woman, but she came out and she had a rejection letter from the woman. And I asked her, what did you tell this woman? I said, she just told the woman, she's not leaving this office, so if they don't reject her, she's not going to resume work in an FCDA hospital. She's not going to resume work in an hospital, in a hospital. And I was shocked. Said she stayed there and she cried in front of her and said she's not going anywhere until that woman gives her the rejection. And the woman gave her the rejection. Purpose doesn't honor protocol. I'm telling you. It's the same Jacob in the Bible. An angel from heaven came, and the angel was and he wrestled an angel. What audacity. Do you know a human being is no match for an angel? He wrestled an angel, dislocated his own hip. That's how terrible the wrestling was. The angel couldn't go till he dislocated his hip. He said, no, you will give me what is mine. He broke protocol, fighting something that, angels can kill a whole city of people, just one. But this man had the audacity to fight an angel. That's what my wife did. So when she got the rejection letter, I remember I was like, so what now? Where are you going to go? Nowhere to go. Where do you want to go? Says she doesn't know, but she had gotten this rejection letter. So for some days she was at home. I think the next day, she got into her car, drove out. I don't know where she went to. But then she came back some hours later with a letter of employment in her hand. And I said, where's the letter from? She said it was from the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal in Abuja is not somewhere just anybody goes. In fact, by the time you get to the gate and you see the kind of military people there, you would respect yourself. There's some places you just go, you just respect yourself. How my wife had the confidence to enter this place. She just entered and said she wants to see the person in charge of the hospital. And she went in there and said she wants to do a NYSC there. She broke protocol because she knew what her purpose was at that time. She knew her purpose. She knew her purpose was not to be in the hospital. She knew that the hospital was taking out the life in her. Some people are made for hospitals. My wife knew she wasn't made for that life. She knew she was unhappy in the hospital. She knew it was killing her esteem as a person. She knew it was affecting her being a mother. She knew she was affecting her being a wife. And she said, enough is enough. I'm not going to give the hospital one more year, not one more day. And she took her life in her hands and followed her God-given purpose. But she had to break a lot of protocol. It was ugly. My advice to you is change that course if that's what's on your mind. Sociology was revealed to you as where you should go. Follow through with it. Your parents have given you their advice, but remember, you have an equally fully formed brain. Thank them for their advice. Now think about what you want to do and follow purpose. And it's going to be ugly. I can guarantee you it's going to be ugly. But purpose doesn't care about that. Purpose cares about obedience. Purpose cares about courage. It's my prayer that God will grant you more clarity and grant you courage. I don't think you need clarity. I think you have clarity already. What you need is courage. And I pray for every other person listening to this. I'm going to do something I don't usually do on this podcast, but I'm going to do it right now because I feel led to do it. If you are listening to this podcast and you're at crossroads in your life, a serious decision you have to make might be serious as school, changing your course, leaving school, stuff like that. It might not even have to do with school, other things. But you're clear in your heart, but you are scared. I want to pray with you right now. Please don't think about it of, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm not a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm not a Muslim. No. I want you to join your hearts with me in prayer as I feel led to pray with each and every one of you right now. Father, I pray with these ones that have listened and their hearts have been convicted. Father, Lord, I pray that you shall teach them the difference between obedience and rebellion. To let them know that your spirit is the difference. Give them the courage to follow your spirit, even though on the outside it might be criticized and called something else. Give them staying power. That power you gave to David, even when he was criticized as a stubborn, hard-hearted young boy by his brothers, he knew who he was in you. Father, give these people courage to follow through on the clarity that you've given to them. In Jesus' name, amen. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and this is the TA Podcast.